Okay, sorry, I'm just scrolling around a little bit right here. So in the last video, we analyzed this first chord, C major chord. We analyzed it in the key of C major. That's what this letter C with the colon means. It means that we're in C major. It is a 1 chord because it's based off of the first note in the C major scale, which is C, and it is a 5/3 because the notes above that lowest note are a fifth above it and a third above it. So let's move over to this first inversion chord. Now we're still in C major, and we are still playing a C major chord. We have a C and E and a G. Those 3 notes, no matter how they're stacked, they're going to form a C major chord. So this is still in C major. It's still going to be a 1 chord. So we still represent it with a Roman numeral 1, capital I. Now, this is not a 5/3 chord because the notes in it are not a fifth above or a third. Well, we'll see. They're not a fifth and third above the lowest note we have. Now, bear with me. This is probably the most confusing thing of all of this. So we said that root position, we have the root of the chord is the lowest one. And you can see right here, I marked that lowest note with the number 1. Here's what's confusing, or what could be confusing. If we mark, or whatever we have for the lowest note in the chord, that's always going to be a 1 when we're marking the notes like this. That's always going to be a 1, even if it's not the root of the chord. So right here, we still have a C major chord. C is not the bottom. So the root is not the lowest note, but we're still going to mark that lowest note as 1. Just to be super clear, the lowest note is always going to be marked a 1. So we have an E on the bottom, and that's our 1. That's our first note in this chord. It's the lowest note. Now above the E, to get up to G, E to G, that is a minor third. So we are going to mark a 3 over here for that third. And up from E to C. Now I'm going to flip over to the keyboard real quick. We have an E. Oh, I'm sorry. We have an E. We have to get to C. So let's count from E. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. C is a sixth above E. And so we're going to mark that with a 6. So now you can see we have a 1, a 3, and a 6 instead of a 1, a 3, and a 5. And that's because the C is a sixth above E. So when we have a 3-note chord in first inversion, that is what we're going to mark it with the Roman numeral 1 in this case, and a number 6. We could put the number 3, but the 3 is assumed. We don't really need that, just like I told you, we don't really need to mark the 5 and 3. You're not wrong to mark the 5 and 3, but it's assumed it'll be 5/3. So usually you'll just see this kind of thing marked as just the Roman numeral 1. So 1, 5, 3, or 1. And then over here, we can have a 1, 6. And the 3 is not really necessary. So we can... Okay, I'm sorry, that's not working the way I thought it would. We can just mark this. We can just mark this with the 6. Sorry about all that marking up. I'm still learning how to use this program. So a first inversion chord is a 1, 6 in this case.